Marquis Lee, Mike Chioda, nickname Coyote, from the Garden State down to Florida Sea. Wrestling chaos, he stands in between, third man in the ring, you know what I mean. Brings the order in the WWE scene. Coyote howls where the palm trees lean. Monday mailbag with a roar and a cheer. Mike Chioda that brings the fire, don't you fear. Stories and memories, all we'll hear. Coyote rules the night loud and clear. Counting threes and breaking holds tight. Justice in the square circle night after night. He's the legend, Jersey's own spotlight, bringing tales of honor.
Good evening, everybody. This is your host, Huge Pop, from the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. Joining me with my brother, and our guest tonight is best known for his long tenure in the World Wrestling Entertainment. He worked as a referee for WWE for over 30 years, making him one of the most recognizable figures in the business. Our guest's career spanned from 1980s to the retirement of 2020. He officiated numerous high-profile matches at major WWE events, including WrestleMania. He's also done some AEW work. Please welcome to the podcast, Mike Chioda. How you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm doing good. Thanks for that introductory there, man. I appreciate that entrance. Thank you.
No problem.
Yes,
thanks for having me on, man. Yeah, how you guys doing?
Good. How you doing tonight? We're gonna be respectful of your time, and so let's go straight into it.
Yeah,
what first drew you to pro wrestling, and how did you get started in the business, man?
Man, it goes back to like growing up in New Jersey. I was born in Bayonne, New Jersey, and in '74, when I was like 8, we moved to South Jersey. So kind of moved like 5 minutes from Gorilla Monsoon, and we were in Willingboro, New Jersey. So it kind of all started off knowing Valerie, his daughter, and growing up with Joey in the area and stuff, and got into when I was about 15. Like I used to set up the ring down the Jersey Shore. Gorilla Monsoon owned the territory from Vince. You know, he owned the territory, working for Vince Sr. at the time, and so Gorilla had a lot of stuff going on with the territories, and like certain territories were owned, like Bruno owned the Pittsburgh area, this one owned that one, and in the Northeast and all around, of course, the Midwest, South. So I started working, set up the ring with Victor Quiones. Like I was 15 with Joey, Tony Chimmel, a couple other guys. We'd always go out and set the rings. I'd make $50 a day, set up the ring, tearing it down.
All right.
50 on the ropes, 50 playing music, and then 50 timekeeping or something, or doing something else. I'd make $200 a day.
Okay.
And then, Joey was already an established referee, of course, at the time. And Tony Chimmel and I would definitely, I paid my dues before. I had to pay dues before Tony Chimmel. So then I was selling programs. So then they said, hey, you got to sell programs. And I'm like, hey, well, God, after $1 a piece, I'm like, how much am I making? They're like 10 cents off the dollar. Well, I used to sell like 3,000 programs. In the beginning of the show, intermission on the blowout.
Yeah.
Bro, it was like, and then I got paid like $300. I was like, holy shit, I'll sell programs every night. And I was
right.
Like, the money was really there. I was like making $500. Like, and this was in the summertime and in the weekends. We would work, and we would do like Wildwood, New Jersey every Monday night down to Convention Center and stuff. And it would hold like 1,500 people. And I'd sell like 3,000 programs there off the boardwalk or Salisbury or the Spectrum, and areas like that. So, and then I got hooked back. I did it for a while. I had 4 cars by the time I was 17. I was making good money. It was like a part-time job every other weekend or every, in the summertime, we worked a lot more because he had off from school.
Yeah.
So I was always working there, making good money, man. And I mean, that was for like 82, 83.
Okay.
And then, 85, came back to wrestling after I was a welder and stuff in school and all that other stuff. And after high school, I just didn't go to college. I went back. My dad got sick, took a stroke, so I had to help out the family. And I knew wrestling was a lot of money. Yeah. And I just went back into wrestling, asked Gorilla for a job, and he got me back in.
That's awesome.
That's where it all took off, man. 1985, 86.
Wow, man.
Yep.
Now, skipping ahead, of course, you've probably been asked this a lot. The 1, 2, 3 Kid versus Razor match.
Yeah.
Kind of tell that story from your perspective. It was one of the most memorable moments in Monday Night Raw history.
Yeah.
Just what In your words, how'd that
And
night go in that match?
yeah, that match was incredible. I mean, I was doing ring crew at the time with Tony Chimmel because we were the ring crew from New Jersey. So we always had to bring that ring in every time to that. The Manhattan Center was a bitch. But I remember, you had the click at that time. So you had Razor and Sean and all those guys were still Diesel. There was the click. And, the new kid was the upcoming kid, 1, 2, 3 kid. He was this young kid. And I remember, even though, like back in the day, the boys took doing the job a lot more serious than what they do today. And even over the past so many years, like some guys wouldn't even do the job for somebody else. Fuck, I ain't doing a job. Excuse my language, but I ain't doing a job for him. And so like I remember Razor had to do the job for the kid, and put the kid over and get this kid going and stuff. And Razor came up, he was like, "Hey, Kyle, come here." And he said, "Kyle, come here, man. Listen, I need you to count as fast as you can without making it look stupid. Fucking fast as you can. Got it?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I will."
That's awesome.
Like, hell yeah, because shit, I love Razor and them guys. I don't want no heat with those boys, right?
Right.
I'm gonna work with the boys instead of working with the office. So, but yeah, so it was cool. Counter, you can tell I sped that count up a little bit real quick. And I was a fast counter anyway, a little bit. I always had to, like control my cadence because I was like just anxious, So, yeah, it was a great night. I mean, the kid got over like $1 million, man.
Yeah.
So, and then look what he went on to be, like X-Pac and all that. And,
Yeah, Sean Waltman is a hell of a worker.
yeah, man, hell of a work. He's had some incredible matches, man. I remember a match I did. I think it was him and Owen, stuff like that, and quite a few other matches, man. Just tore the house down back in the day.
You talk about having heat with somebody. I have a clip of somebody that apparently you have heat with or had heat with.
Oh yeah.
This is it. I'll show you the clip, then we'll talk about it.
Here comes another referee. And Shane McMahon physically intercepted.
My man Shane hit that right on point. He hit it right on point, man. I'll tell you, the crowd went nuts. It was awesome. I mean, he was like, he drilled me, man. I told Shane, and like I was like, you can't miss, brother. And
Didn't miss.
Oh, I'm gonna bring it. I knew Shane would. If you noticed, I've done a ton of Shane matches.
Yeah.
And that's because he always wanted me to be his referee. So, and I always wanted to work with him, and working with him and for him and for his family was incredible for 3.5 decades, 35 years. And I love some Shane McMahon.
You ever shake your head and say, "What in the world are you doing?" When Shane gets up on top of those high rise and does all that. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's just I think he was just he was always somebody to succeed, never be told he couldn't do it. If you told Shane he couldn't do it, he'd fucking do it. So Shane just had a lot of respect. I think he was trying to prove himself as a worker. To me, in his career in wrestling, he proved himself day one in King of the Ring with Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
So, and that was one hell of a match I'll never forget. So he proved himself there, and he's not scared to do all those, coming off the Hell in a Cell with Taker and all this. We've had some incredible matches, man. He's had incredible matches with Taker, Test when he was alive, God bless his soul. Kurt Angle, AJ Styles. I did his match at WrestleMania there in Orlando, and just so many other matches. So,
right.
He doesn't get too many wins, but
No.
he has some hell of a match.
That's true.
I don't know when he went over. Maybe on Vince or something in a match.
Maybe.
So you've also been tangled with some of the boys, such as Ken Shamrock came at you after a match. Gangrel took
Right.
When that's pitched to you, obviously they tell you that before the match. What's your thought? Be like, hey, why am I doing this? Or is it, yeah, I'll do it. This sounds
Oh
good.
no, it's oh yeah, I'll do it. I mean, here's my theory, and like being a referee and stuff. the guys are bumping in there like back in the day when we used to do 17-day tours and come home and be on the road 25, 26 days a month, and Europe tours and overseas international tours in late 80s, 90s. Gotta remember we our first big show in London was Wembley Stadium, 1992. And I was refereeing at that point. That was one of my biggest TV like refereeing wise. I mean, WrestleMania's were, but that was an incredible crowd. We with us traveling so much and working so hard, it was just, I don't know, it's just so many days on the road. You got to remember how many shows we do.
Right.
So I mean, with doing 20 something shows, working hard,
Wow.
it was a lot.
Yeah. So you sent me some pictures. One of being this one. The Rock versus Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania
Yeah.
18, working with such icons. Would you have to say that was probably one of your highest moments, or do you even have a high? I mean, shoot, you've been around many. I don't know how you could pick a best moment or a huge
Yeah, and
moment.
that's a good question. That's a good point, because I really don't. Because Rock and Hogan was great for. I mean, the reaction of the crowd. The people in Toronto did not forget about Hulk Hogan. They. And then it comes out in this NWO, like coming out, back from NWO, WCW, and man, it was what a pop. I mean, I almost thought I was going to get buzzed and say, hey, look, change the finish. They did send the boys down after Hogan at the end. We had an incredible match. It was, but you knew that wasn't going to be a high flying match, like Hogan coming off the top or Rock coming off the top. And they did everything old school, to the shove off, to the push, to the tackle, to the Hulk up. It was just like, and they bit every. I mean, you had the crowd on the entrance and on the stare down, on the face off. You had the crowd. It was something I never experienced, and I've been in the business for 17 years at that point. So I mean, it's 2002, and I mean, I literally marked out in the beginning on that face off. I was just in the dirt, like just a stare off to the side, like, what the fuck?
All right.
But there are so many other matches, like Rock and Kurt Angle, WrestleMania, Rock and Austin, Shawn and Austin. And like these matches, each match had like a different reason. This was going to be a technical match. This was going to be a high flying match. Or this was going to be incredible. So but Rock and Hogan is up there on the top 30.
Now, you were involved with arguably the most iconic moment or match in recent WrestleMania history, the heist of the century. What was it like? Just leading into that, knowing what the end result was going to be. Like, take us through.
Yeah,
that,
with that night of Rock and Hogan.
No, for Seth and cashing in on.
Oh yeah, Seth and yeah, and that's another one. Seth and Brock Lesnar. I mean, Brock Lesnar and Roman with Seth cashing in. So it was, that was incredible. It was weird because it was such a big stadium, and it was such a long run from the ramp, from gorilla position all the way to the ringside, and it was kind of almost like a delayed reaction. It's like, here he comes, just give him the cues to let him know he's coming down. But it was like weird because you feed off a reaction in the crowd, but it was slow moving, the reaction, because people were just getting the gif, like, oh shit, Seth is coming down. Man, I'll tell you, it blew off that match between. I know, Seth cashing in took away from a hell of a match between Roman and Brock. It really did. And that 5 minutes of fame right there, I mean, to the build up for their, like, Brock and Roman just had one incredible fucking match. And Brock was selling his ass off so good. It was amazing. That match was amazing. It was amazing how Seth came out, boom, stole the thunder from that whole match. Because nobody ever says Roman and Brock, what a match. They say the Seth Rollins cash in Money in the Bank.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't know it as that match. We know it's the heist, right?
Yeah, nobody really
century.
talks about the match itself, So
it's all about the moments.
Incredible. Yeah, it was an incredible moment, man. Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it is different from many of the cash-ins I've done. I mean, That's my number one cash in right there. Carmella's probably the second.
Oh yeah, for reasons understood. I mean,
you've been in like we talk about moments here. What the whole the Brock Lesnar Big Show, the ring collapsing.
Right.
That was another moment you were involved with, I believe. What was that whole sequence of events like, and how everything went down during that match?
Yeah, well, it was incredible for the guys like Mark Carpenter that he's built the rings for WWE for many years. And I used to work with Mark Carpenter for years over in Connecticut because we used to pick up ring parts, new rings, steel cages. He made that all work. So with a hydraulic lift, and it was the first time we're ever doing it. It's ever been done. And my job was in there, man. They were just like, you got to sell. It's because the camera's going to be on you. You got to look around and just give that look. So, I mean, and you know, besides that little bitchy little thing I was doing, boop, boop, boop. And then they said it was just natural. It looked so nat. They loved it. So, I mean, I remember the crowd was going nuts. Michael Hayes and everybody in the back was going nuts. And they're like, oh my God, great sell, great sell. I'm like, they're like, fucking great job. I'm like, holy shit, I don't even get that when I work a 30, 40-minute match. I'm like, shit. I was like, is that the only time the referees really noticed and shit when the ring collapsed?
No,
because Big Show and Brock don't move at all. So once they take that suplex and that bump, they don't move at all, man. So the focus was on me just looking around like dumb, like, you know, deer in headlights. So yeah, it worked out great, man. It was fantastic.
so the
Awesome.
the referee has a very important part in the match. They get they have earpieces. They get the cues from the back.
That's correct.
And they also have their when these matches happen. A lot of people don't like it, but when there's blood involved, so blading, right? Can you talk?
Yep.
You're a main part of that. Is a main.
Well, back in the day, it's different. I mean, a lot of guys they used to, you know, gig and stuff like that. I think they're still doing it on AEW. I seen it like boom right on live TV. Camera caught it, but they don't. I don't think they do that. And it was very. We couldn't do that in the WWE. They don't even want blood on there no more because certain TV stations in certain countries, like, you know, certain like China. I remember we couldn't go over there if anybody was bleeding. We'd have to stop the match, and cover it up right away if the doctor could stitch it or if he can glue it. So blood became a big factor to like try not to have blood anymore. So it was definitely for certain countries, you know, and for children, I guess so. But yeah, I mean, you know, back in the day, you used to carry a couple blades on you in case the wrestler loses one or drops one or anything like that. You always have a spare.
Okay.
But those are old school days.
All right, cool, Matt.
Yep.
Who out of all the guys that when you've spanned so long, who was the one guy that you loved and you were like, yeah, I can't wait to get back in the ring with you? This is the guy. Who's your favorite guy that you had to work with, or the favorite two guys that you got to work with?
It's really a ton of them, man. It goes back from Bret Hart, working with him for many years, and so many old Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, Stone Cold. Can't forget Stone Cold and Taker and all these guys. Taker back in the day. I mean, God, Taker's been around for a long time, you know. So it's just work with all those guys was so cool, and I'm glad I got the experience to work with those guys because, you know, everybody had a different way of working. Whether like Bret Hart was a real technical wrestler, Shawn Michaels was a little bit technical plus showstopper, come off the top on you, throw that super kick out on you, and you know, Undertaker, a different way of working. Mr. Perfect, just so many guys just had different techniques and different styles, and it was really cool to embrace. I embraced all that because it was just you learn so much, and it feels like, you know, I didn't have to go to school for refereeing because I got the chance to work with a lot of old school in the 80s. I started refereeing at 87. and made my
Okay.
debut on 89. So I mean, I was working with the George Animal Steels and, some of the guys that were on their way out at the time soon, and Jimmy the Superfly Snuka, a lot of them guys. So
One of my favorites, Jimmy
Now
Snuka.
yeah.
you mentioned Sean. You took a super kick. What was that
Oh,
like?
yeah. That was sweet. It was sweet thing. I didn't feel it. Yeah, Sean can hit that real good. Sometimes you get hit. I mean, there was a match between him and Razor, and I remember it was like coming off the ropes. Razor dropped down. Sean comes off with an elbow off the ropes, and then Razor drops, and then Sean hits me as I'm flying by the ring in the back. And I turned my head into it. I broke my nose because I turned my face into it, didn't keep my face to the side. So, but shit like that happened, back in the day. So, I mean, and you have to, like, as a ref, you got to take one for the team, because you see all the boys bumping, like we were talking about earlier, like they bump and they work so hard, 20 something days a month, and they're bumping every night. And when you're upon to be called like upon a one bump a night, or maybe two bumps or something, you better, what are you going to do? Say, no, I'm not going to do it. I know you're making my money for 20 something days, busting your ass, working, every show, bumping. So that's why the ref can't just say no, man. It's hard you can't say, I'm not taking that bump.
So
you just got to say, oh shit, sometimes when they say, oh, you're going to get pressed over the top rope. You're like, oh shit.
yeah. So we talk about Undertaker. You had the opportunity to go to Saudi Arabia and be involved with Undertaker Goldberg.
Right.
Talk about that. Was that a good experience over there?
Well, I mean, we had some long nights working hard. The match didn't go into like midnight and everything. And Goldberg got concussed, man. Just thank God we got through that match. So it was kind of tough getting through that match, because he was kind of he I don't know how he went through it, but he got through it, Goldberg. So just luckily nobody got hurt real bad after that, and took concussion. But I mean, it was I'm sure it wasn't the match they wanted to have there. The first time they ever met. And had that big match. And Saudi Arabia was paying us big money. They were paying $50 million a show, 2 times a year. So, but just luckily nobody got hurt out of that match. That's for sure.
So we have a person in the chat that's has a question. So, hey, Mr. Chioda, how come you were down for so long at WrestleMania 17, Taker versus Triple H?
Because I was told to be down for so long. You got Taker and you got the owner of the company, Triple H. I mean,
you do what you're told. Yep, there you go. That's a simple answer.
I think he was dating Stephanie at that time.
So we've had a lot of stories about Ahmed Johnson told us about ribs backstage. A couple other guys have mentioned ribs. Were you ever involved with a rib or had a rib done to you that you can share with us? Because those are always kind of some of my favorite stories.
I mean, there's tons of ribs, man. People would order pizza to your rooms and all that shit. 10 pizzas, and it wouldn't. You didn't even order it. Some people would put tabs from the bar on your room. I mean, tons of ribs, man. People shaving heads and everything, man. So there was all kinds of stuff going back on the 80s and 90s. 2000s, but it kind of chilled after a while because you got in trouble if you pulled a rib anymore, So
just kind of piggyback off that same question, what was the most memorable one that you were either part of or had done to you? Like, what's the one that you?
Well, I had my hair cut. I had my hair cut and half an eyebrow shaved before I woke up. Let's see, there was so many people that got haircuts though, man, and stuff like that. I mean, the most memorable one was Mo and what was it, Men on a Mission. Oscar, he was locked into we were on a German tour and for like 15 days. And I remember we got locked in the bathroom by Bulldog for like 7 hours straight, man. And the guy just passed out. And And the toilet was dirty because everybody was already going to the bathroom in there, so it stunk. It was on a bus, one of them little toilets on the bus.
Oh no.
And
Oh
then,
man.
I remember, Bulldog got up, took Hacksaw's 2x4 and wedged it from the thing in between the step things where you get into the stall. And he just wedged it, man. And just for hours, you heard the banging on the door. And they just cranked up the music. And then and then the banging, like after a couple hours, got real slow. Boom, 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 boom. And then for hours, you didn't hear nothing. And like everybody had a piss in cups. I think we even pulled the bus over because he had so much heat. So, that was a pretty intense rib, man, for 7-8
Wow.
hours on a bus ride.
So I think we've already answered the question, but a couple people asked, do you have a favorite match you ref?
Yeah, I mean, I could say definitely one of probably Hogan and Rock, icon against icon, man, so I mean, Rock and Hogan, you can't any pretty much bigger than that at times.
So I wasn't I shouldn't say this, but I know you worked Ric Flair's last match.
Right.
Everybody has their opinions on that. It must have been very honorable to get chose to ref that match.
That's correct.
So walk through that day for us.
Yeah, I mean, I got the call to do it from Conrad Thompson. It was Rick's son-in-law. So I mean, he gave me a call and he said, Rick wants you to do the match and everything. And I said, great. And so we set it up. And that day it was great. I mean, let me tell you, he's in there. He's doing like 50 crunches at a time here and there in his locker room. He's priming himself up. He's got a physical trainer with him. And it was just incredible for 70-something years old and to still go out there and do it, man, and put that robe on. And just Rick's got so much spunk, man. I love the guy. He really does. And he loves this business, man. He bleeds this business. So and just for him to finally he got through that match. He got through it. So after he took the bump, I took a bump near the end, and then another referee comes and finishes it. So, but I was worried, and he made it through, man. He made it through. God bless.
I think everybody watching it was worried when he took that bump. I was like,
yeah,
crap. But that was nasty.
So I mean, and he made it through, man. And that was, I mean, that's all you could say is I was proud of Rick just making it through, man. And I'll tell you, once again, he entertained the people. I mean, the place was packed. Great crowd, Nashville.
So you got to share the ring and actually compete. You tagged with The Rock and Jericho against Nick Patrick and the Dudley Boys, delivering the people's elbow to Nick Patrick at the end. What was your thoughts on that? Like, take us through that match?
Yeah, I just didn't want to trip. Tripped on live TV. It looked stupid. Like, here I never even did this before, and like I didn't rehearse it or practice it. I'm thinking, man, if I trip, I'm gonna look like a fool on national TV. So
I watched the video and you could see that you were like, should I? I don't know. But then you got these guys telling you better do it, And
I'm trying to sell Bubba's clothesline, like the shoulder, I was like, Bubba's like, you're overselling the shoulder, god damn it. It was cool. It was fun, man. I mean, it was thanks to Nick Patrick for doing the job for me and stuff, man. So that was, it was, that was an incredible moment for me. I don't even know that should be in my top 5 because I mean, what referees really ever got to work with that incredible talent? One guy's the head of AEW pretty much, Jericho still. The Rock is, icon in the wrestling world. The Dudleys are phenomenal. They're icons and legends, for what God, ECW to all the way, what they've done in their careers. So in Nick Patrick, being God, he was such a big referee for WCW. It was great. It was great being a part of that, man. It was phenomenal.
Now, I know you weren't reffing the match, but you're there when the scary moment with Owen Hart.
Right.
But I didn't hear the story, but I heard that either was maybe a scary moment with Ahmed Johnson, or is he just a scary beast to be around and when you had interaction with him?
What's that? Say it again.
Ahmed Johnson. Can you tell me about the moments, interactions you've had with him? Have you had any moments with them?
He wasn't around that long.
Okay.
You know, he
Yeah.
wasn't really around. What was he around for, a year or two or something? Or
A couple years.
couple years? Yeah, I mean, I never really had too much interaction with him.
Okay.
Never hung out with him or nothing like that, you know. So I mean, the boys did more, you know, interaction with him. Yeah, I was doing ring crew, you gotta remember. So I was traveling with Tony Chimmel a lot in the truck too. So at that time when he was around, you know. So it would be the first one to get there with the ring, referee the matches, and just tear the ring down and be the last one to get out of there and then drive to the next town.
What was it like being in the same like officiating crew as Earl Hebner? Like, have any stories about running the road with him, or any interesting dealings with him?
No, I just worked with him for a lot of years and stuff. He pretty much traveled with his twin brother David. So you know, yeah, just really, I just seen him at a couple signings, you know. So I just wind up working with him for a lot of years with him for a lot of years. That's all. You know, I remember when he came in and did the whole Hogan thing, you know, on Saturday Night Main Event. So I was already working for the company at the time, and it was a pretty cool deal. We all kind of liked it. That was, you know, it's one of the big moments. You know, probably that was one of his biggest moments in WWE, and his shittiest moment was after ringing the bell on Bret Hart on the Screwjob in Montreal. You know.
Yeah.
So gimmicks and entrances. What's your favorite gimmick and your favorite entrance?
Favorite gimmick, Taker. I would have to say Taker's on a favorite entrance. Let's see. Favorite gimmick, man. Let's see. That's a good one. It definitely ain't the Goobly Gawker. I'll tell you that. That's the worst fucking gimmick I've ever seen. That was the worst one. I don't know, man. That's a pretty good favorite gimmick. There's a lot. I'd have to say one of my favorite was Road Warriors, LOD.
Okay.
And Demolition, really. Demolition.
Okay.
Demolition was one of my favorite.
But definitely not the Rooster.
No, not the Rooster.
Not the.
Yeah, Terry Taylor, boy. That was a big rib.
I'm at the end of my list, Scott.
All right. So I have time for, like I said, I usually run over some kids questions. So I like 5 kids questions. They're really for my foster kids.
You got it.
Favorite food.
Favorite food, Italian food.
Okay. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yes, with ham or pepperoni. Pineapple, pepperoni. I do too.
Okay. Favorite sports team.
Pittsburgh Steelers, Pirates, Celtics, and the Penguins.
Oh, you were cool until you said the Celtics, and
hey, I grew up with Larry Bird in the days.
Yeah,
Bird,
so did we. We hated Bird because
we're Pistons fans.
Yeah. Oh yeah. God,
Bird, yeah.
Was that a great rivalry back then? Oh my God.
It was. Mount Rushmore of wrestlers.
Man, I would have to say nothing taken away from Bruno or Sammartino. No disrespect. I just wasn't around in that era. So my era, I would have to say Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Undertaker. Yeah.
Okay.
And that could even be flipped around. Like Shawn Michaels should be in there. You know, I mean, it shouldn't be 4. It should be at least 5 or 6.
My son did have a question. He's a big wrestling fan. He's 12 years old, and
right.
He's and we're going back and we're watching all the WrestleManias again. We're prepping for another podcast. We're starting next week. He wants to know, as an official, as a referee, were you always given the results ahead of the time, or was it something that sometimes it was a surprise to you, or some?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've 90%, 95% of the time I was given the results. 95. A few times it didn't work out like that. Very few times they switched the finishes. In my 35-year career, I mean, reference since I was 87, 1987. I mean, there's only not even a handful of all those things. We, didn't screw up many matches at all on television, especially. Um, I didn't count the wrongs, this, that, a couple times, but it's very, very few times in my whole career that matches, the finishes were changed. You know, sometimes it was changed due to injury, sometimes it was changed because of the crowd, but very few times in my whole career that all that above, where it's like a match got changed from the office, up in Gorilla, or if something happens, like sometimes a guy didn't kick out, you counted three. So, but it just very few times. I've seen it happen a lot more recently on AEW and WWE in the last so many months than a long, see referees pushing over people, counting or doing this and doing that. I'm like, oh my God, like, or not, or counting three when they're not supposed to, or not counting three when they're supposed to be counting three and they didn't. So it's been a rough road for the refs on the last couple of years I've seen on television.
So that leads me into a great segue to this question. What's next for Mike Chioda? Um, I read that you have your own wrestling training facility in Orlando.
That's correct.
And can you walk us through that? What it entails? Why do you want to give back to the people want to get into business?
Well, because especially with referees too, they don't get a lot of respect on the indies, and I want them to learn. And if they're good, then more indie wrestlers will want to work with them. In their matches, they'll say, "Okay, hey, I want that ref, or I want her, I want this ref." I've never seen my whole career, besides Rita McLaughlin. I remember from way back in the day. Um, so like there was no women referees, and like when I left, they started bringing women referees up right before I left. It was a nice thing, and there's so many more women that are interested in refereeing. It's amazing. And when I started the class to give back my knowledge for over 3.5 decades, and the first class went excellent. Second class had almost like 20 something students, and like then students started flying in from Pittsburgh, Virginia, coming in from Alabama. One came from Australia. One came from Europe. Another kid came from California. Another student. And I could see that, like, then they're like, oh, I was doing a 1 day seminar, and then I went to a 2 day seminar because they want to fly in and trying to get as much experience over the weekend as possible. So I do like a 2 hour Q&A in the morning, 2.5 or 2 hours, and we'll do 5 hours, 4 hours in the ring and in ring sessions. So we have talent there, some workers to work matches and stuff. And I put the students through drills. I want to see their cadences. I want to see everything from bottom to top. So, and I think these students are getting common because a lot of students are coming back, and then new students are adding on. It's really been just getting out there for this past year or so. And just announced the next master class for March 29th and March 30th. So, and it's a real good. It's really good how many referees out there really want to learn and really want to do this as a career too. So, hopefully, it opens up some doors for some referees to get into the PC center or to get somewhere to AEW.
So
Now that you're retired, do you still have connections to the WWE and AEW?
Well, not so much. It's that part of with the referees is so controlled. They're more focused. The company is like, okay, we need a woman referee. Now the companies are like, oh, we need a woman referee, or we need a Latino referee, or we need an Asian referee, or we need this. I've seen some very good referees they're knocking at the door trying to get in. They can't get in for certain reasons. And I'm just, it's not going to be. It's like AEW and it's like WWE. They want talent. Talent sells their tickets. I get it. You know what I'm saying? And it's amazing because if you have good referees, you have good matches. You have really good matches. And I feel like, somewhat of AEW fell apart a little bit because the referees don't get any respect. And I feel bad. They're all a bunch of great guys and great gals. They're all good people and everything. And I just feel like when you talk to wrestling fans, they get no respect, those refs over there. And I feel bad for them because they're working hard, But it's what happens is when you make one or two mistakes, those mistakes stick in the fans more than all the other good matches that you have, So it's like you can being a referee, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because if you screw up, you get all the heat, And if you don't screw up, sometimes you really don't get patted on the back like you should.
So we're talking referees and everything. What's your Mount Rushmore of referees as far as through the years?
Man, I'd say Joey Morella. See, like I've never, I want to say to Stevie Young. I just like there's referees I never really worked with before, otherwise. So I can't really, I never really seen it work. I would say Joey Morella, probably Charles Robinson should be in there. Man, who else? Ooh, that's a good question. I never had to answer that question. I definitely say Joey because, like, he's gone back. You got to go back to Hogan and Andre the Giant when Joey ref that match, and he's done some incredible matches before he passed. Charles definitely has been around God forever, and he's done some incredible matches. He's a fantastic ref. I have to say Earl Hebner. Earl Hebner should be in there, and maybe Tommy Young. Maybe Tommy Young. But I never really got to see a lot of Tommy Young's work, because I was so busy working with WWE at the time too. So
Through the years of traveling, what's your favorite venue to work and why?
Madison Square Garden. Yeah, Madison Square Garden. It's just a mecca of all arenas in the country, in the world, really. So, you had Bruno Sammartino working in that arena. You had many legends, Gorilla Monsoon, Andre the Giant, all that. As far as wrestling and sports and just concerts and all that stuff, I'd say Madison Square Garden.
Okay. And one last one. You're obviously a collector of memorabilia. What's your favorite, the one piece of memorabilia that you will like cherish? Like, it's your favorite piece of memorabilia from the
That,
wrestling business?
that Rock and Hogan shirt right there, the referee shirt, got signed by Rock and got signed by Hogan. Never knew 20 years later or 15 it would be one of the most iconic matches ever. But for some reason, man, it's so incredible to me. I've had maybe 3 or 4 ref shirts signed by like main events and WrestleManias, but that was my first one. I just knew it was gonna, I just knew it was just big to me. It was just big it was just unbelievable. And it was only 62,000 people. It wasn't even like 82 or 90,000 people. It was so loud that night. It was incredible in that Sky Dome.
Wow.
And for some reason, I got that shirt signed right there by Rock and Hogan that night.
Talk about merch. Talk about merch and memorabilia. Huge Five Wrestling Podcast fans. Ref Mike Chioda has his own merch and his own T-shirt, so we can go to ProWrestlingTees.com and get this T-shirt. I'm gonna get one of these. That looks nasty.
That's pretty cool.
I ain't gonna lie. And then if you guys want to action figure retro, you want to talk about retro? Let's look at this. That is a retro WSW wrestling something wrestlers. Mike Chioda, third man in the ring. You can get that at figurescollections.com. So Get on
Yeah,
those
that's really
websites.
yeah. That was the original Saturday main event ref right there. I was surprised I
There you
didn't get a call back from WWE. I was like, damn, he ain't called me back for the original Saturday main
Right,
event.
right. I was, yeah, not just say that, but no.
Come
right
on,
there again,
Paul. Come on, let's
right there
go.
you got this guy and the retro. That Saturday brings you back to Saturday night's main event.
Yeah, right.
And I gotta tell you, a Saturday night main event story. My brother and I, we lived in the same house. And I'm 12 years older than my brother.
Right.
And my dad told me specifically, do not let your brother into the room to watch Saturday night's main event. We were upstairs on the second floor. My mom and dad were below us.
Yeah.
I had a little TV, so we were doing this. And this was with Sid Vicious doing the power bomb.
Okay.
So I picked my brother up in that position, and I threw him onto the bed, which is a soft mat that would have been harmless.
Right, right.
But his feet kicked up. He took out the lampshade up on the top of the ceiling. It crashed to the ground. And within seconds, my dad was up there. He was chewing our ass like you wouldn't believe. So, want to talk about retro Saturday night main event?
Yep.
That's what happened, man.
That's what happened, right?
Right. So,
yeah, I miss those days. I miss the Attitude Era. That was one of my favorite times in the wrestling
100%.
business. Attitude Era was crazy, man.
100%.
So it was fantastic back then.
But we've been on here for 46 minutes. I'm going to give you an opportunity to say anything you need to say to your fans, and I'll close the show. But don't go anywhere, Mr. Chioda. I'm going to play the exit music, and I want to talk to you real quick, okay?
You got it. Sounds good. Well, yeah, I want to appreciate everybody listening and everything. And thanks for always supporting me, man, my 35-year career. Really appreciate everywhere I go. And every other day, if somebody I run into that knows what I've done has really been so respectful of my career. And it's amazing to get the respect is just being a referee. So, we always didn't sell tickets to referees. We comp tickets, so, I mean, it's pretty cool to get the respect from all the fans. I just want to thank them all for all the years.
Well, thank you, sir, for coming on our podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, definitely.
Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. My brother and I thank you guys for an amazing 2024. Thank you for coming on the show again, Mr. Chioda.
Yes,
fans,
sir.
hit the button, subscribe to the Facebook, to the YouTube, to the Twitch, to the Kick. Subscribe to them all. And again, we'll see you next week for more shows. Thank you for tuning in to the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. We're out.